Hi, I'm Mark Toole, the 8020service.com. Today's customer service video question of the day. This is take 2 because my video cut out here. The question's a long one. What are the ways you can help improve your company's customer service? Is there a template that we can look at to see ways where we can improve? And first of all, my answer here is back off with the templates. Forget about templates for a minute. This is the problem with much of customer service, is this reliance on templates, this desire that everything should be a template. I know where it comes from. It comes from the people running the customer service departments wanting to have a standardized experience. They think this is good. They think that they can just hire a bunch of the cheapest dummies they can find off the street, stick them in a room, give them a list of procedures, a list of scripts or templates, and say, if customer asks about this, use this template. If customer asks about this, use this template. Takes all the thought, all the brain power, all the humanity out of it and turns them into a robot, a meat NPC. We've already talked about this. That's not what I'm going to talk about. I don't think that's a good approach to customer service, but that's also not what this question is about. So, the problem is people who come up in this customer service environment under this philosophy of doing things, that's how they think customer service should work. That's the way they've seen it work. Not well, but it does work to some extent. So when they get to higher levels, to manager levels, to boss levels, to the person running customer service levels, which it sounds like might be this question here, they're still thinking, oh shit, I don't have a boss giving me a template. What template should I use to run customer service and have good customer service? And I can certainly give you some generalized advice, and I will, because that's what I do. But don't think of it as a template. A template is like, if customer service bad, do these things, then it's good. And, I guess if you want to think of generalized advice as a template, you can, but don't, because that'll be harmful. That'll keep you in that NPC reading off a script mindset, which isn't going to help anything. You want to get this right, you have to think, you have to figure things out, you have to make decisions, and let's go on from there. So, ways you can improve your company's customer service. Biggest one we just talked about already, but I'll talk about it again, is stop relying too much on templates. Reason customer service is bad oftentimes is these templates. The fact that you have NPCs working there, people who cannot think, cannot make a decision, cannot simply, I know what the answer to that is, so I'll write it out and tell the guy. They say, the procedures manual says if they ask about this, I'll use this template, and they can, but they're not permitted to think beyond that. Don't do that. Templates, canned responses, whatever you want to call them, can be useful. There are purposes for them. Things like if it's something you are responding to fairly frequently, like a refund request or something like that, have somebody write a good email, sales copy style, readable, persuasive, intelligent, not the big generic customer service garbage email that you probably have now. Dear customer's first and last name, we appreciate your desire to go to the award-winning, and we regret to inform the decision that you've decided to cancel your... Nobody's reading that email. So, careful with the templates. If you're going to use them, make them good. And the second point there is make them optional. Because what happens in these conventional businesses? I ask a question, and the NPC panics because he looks at his list of procedures and my exact question isn't on there. So he does one of two things. He runs off to ask his boss, a guy asked a thing, can you think for me? Or he says, it's close enough to this template and sends out a thing that makes no sense. Both of those are stupid and wrong. Much better to have the person simply make a decision on his own and say, hey, this is what he's asking. This is what the answer is because I know what I'm doing. I understand this job. I understand this role. I'm going to answer this question, and we'll go from there. Now, the problem is, even if you say that this guy should do that, if in practice, every time he does that, some boss comes over and punishes him for saying the wrong thing or for not using the template, he's quickly going to go into covering his own ass mode and just read that template. So that speaks really beyond even any of this, how you manage your customer service people, whether you want to manage them or whether you want to lead them. I've talked about this before. I've written about this before. 8020service.com. I've got stuff on there about it. But really, beyond the scope of this video. Now, another general piece of advice I'll give you that's not a template is that the best customer service interaction is the one that never has to happen because there is no problem. So focus on anticipating and preventing the biggest customer problems before they ever happen. By biggest, I mean most frequent or most impactful. If there's something that could happen that's going to be really devastating to a customer and you can prevent it, great. If there's something that your customer service team is answering over and over and over again all day long, sending out the same template, if you can prevent those questions from being asked, if you can make that information more clear some other way, if you can fix that problem so people don't have to ask you to handle it on an individual basis, things will be greatly improved. The reason the website's called 8020service.com is this, the 80-20 principle. You do a small thing now, fixing a problem, making something more clear, etc., and it has a huge result down the line because you do that work once and it pays off forever unless something changes. So anticipate and prevent rather than handle problems. Don't rely too much on templates. And the third thing I'll give you is, again, this is going to be counter to what a lot of these people who probably, like this other guy who answered it, probably wants to sell you a template, and he's probably telling you the opposite, and he's probably going to tell you that it's really important that you focus on metrics and numbers and efficiency, and you time everybody's piss break, and you track everything down to the second, and you want it to be super efficient. So if your agent goes to have a sip of water like that, oh, maybe he's still thirsty. Highly inefficient, and he needs to be punished for that because he could have been answering tickets instead of wasting the company's time. They're going to tell you this stuff's important. I'm going to tell you exactly the opposite of this. I'm going to tell you when you do everything right to begin with, when you anticipate and prevent problems before they happen, you will not have a massive volume of customer complaints, customer issues, customer questions. You won't need to have people's piss breaks timed, people yelled at for taking a sip of water. In fact, I would drink more, but I'm out of water, just to make a point here. You do this, you don't have to overanalyze, overtrack these efficiency numbers, these metrics. The problem with these, any kind of metric, any kind of number like this that you're using, and you may still want some, but don't go crazy with it. The problem is, if you have a number, if you have a metric, there's that saying, what gets measured gets managed. And they say that like it's a good thing, and sometimes it is. But if your metric, let's say you have a number that represents customer service quality, however you determine that, and you say, I want this number to go from a 6 to a 9, and you figure out, and then you tell your people, hey, get this number to a 9. They're not thinking at that point, how can I make the customer service better? How can I prevent people from having to contact us? How can I make sure that those that do have to contact us get their stuff resolved as quickly as possible? They're thinking, how is this number calculated? Why is it currently a 6? And what can we do to make it a 9? And it results in people essentially gaming the system, playing that number, not playing the actual customer service thing. Like if you're using surveys, for example, the guy who never has a problem and never contacts you about that problem is never going to fill out a survey. So any efforts to prevent things, to fix things, to make sure these problems never happen, will not affect those numbers at all. So they will not happen. Instead, you'll have things like fancier hold music, or the woman from the Progressive commercial making jokes while you're on hold, things like this that they think are good. A computer that pretends to be a person and says, one moment while I look that up, and then plays a sound of typing so you think it's a person. These are the kind of results you get when you focus on metrics too much. So I could go a lot further into this. I'm not going to in this video. I'll wrap it up here. If you want more, go to the website, 8020service.com. I've got a link there also to a guide I put together on this stuff. And if you're serious about this, I recommend checking it out because it could help you. It will help you get this stuff right. It's everything I do, everything I've learned in this industry, in this business, everything I do for clients, everything I help businesses with. So check that out if you want. If not, just keep watching these videos here. I've said this before, but I do one of these videos every weekday on a customer service question here on Quora, also on YouTube, depending where you're watching. This one came from Quora. If you have a question, ask me on Quora, ask me in the comments on YouTube. And, of course, like, subscribe, upvote, thumbs up, all that stuff, so you don't miss any future videos. Otherwise, that's it for today. I'll be back tomorrow with another video.